Okay, this is a follow-up to my part 1 video on how to downsize, declutter, and organize. I am currently bringing everything back outside because, like you saw in part 1, I got interrupted by high winds and smoke that actually ended up putting me in bed for the day, and my heart and prayers go out to everyone still fighting the fires and that are affected by them. We are thinking of you and our hearts are with you. So today, let's get started. I'll tell you how to do all of those things: downsize, declutter, and organize. The big tip I gave you on downsizing was 3 piles. 1, yes; 2, no; 3, maybe. But what I didn't get to tell you was that you can't think about it. This isn't the time when you try to decide what to do with things. You pick it up, and if you don't know, it goes to the maybe pile. If it is not 100%, as soon as it touches your hand, a yes or a no, it goes to the maybe pile, and you go to the next thing. You don't stop and think about it. You're only creating your piles at this point, and then I'll tell you what to do. So this box I just picked up, and it says laundry because I was going to build cabinets in my overhead part of my RV, and instead I've moved my bed up there, and I'm not going to build cabinets that would hold things like this. So this has been in this box since I moved into the RV. I don't know what's in it, but it's going to be a maybe pile. So I'm going to go dump it on the maybe pile because I don't even know what it is, and I'm not deciding right now. It's a maybe because I haven't used it, and that tells me that it probably is going to be a no. But for now, I'm not making that decision. I'm only picking something up, and if I'm not 100% sure it's a yes or a no, it goes to the maybe pile. Now, there is a trick to organizing your piles before you even begin this operation. So let's get this into the maybe pile, or start my maybe pile right now, and then I'll tell you that trick. Okay, that is a maybe, like I said, because I don't know whether I'm going to use that stuff or not, but the fact that I haven't used it in quite a while tells me it's probably a no, but I'm not making that decision right now. You have to have staging areas for your piles. So let's talk about that next, because you have to start there. It has been a long, hot day, and I've been working hard, and to be honest, I forgot to get footage and clips of what all I'm doing. So, but basically, between when I stopped and I started doing all of my piles, I've had my yes, no, maybes, and again, you know, I've stressed, don't think about it. It just is going in a pile. And then I started talking to you about staging areas. Well, that is very important, and I ended up with 5 staging areas. So I'm going to tell you about those, because when you pick up something, it's immediately a yes, no, or maybe. You can't think about it, and you take it to one of your staging areas. Here are my 5 staging areas, and yours are going to be different. But I had one for the RV, not only for the inside of the RV, but for the outside of the RV. I had a staging area for the shed. I had a staging area for what goes back to Robert for his van. Something that I haven't talked to you about yet, the 5th one, is containers and things that you might use as you organize. And so as I was pulling stuff out of the shed, and it's now emptied and ready for me to organize, and as I pulled things out of the RV and ready to organize, I put them in those 5 areas, and they were either in a yes, no, or maybe pile. Now, it ends up that I didn't have too much maybe, because I did all of that as I've been moving all along. And so I had a no pile that is now in the back of the car to go to other people. And your pile, you know, I said that I had a staging area for Robert. Yours might be, when I was doing this originally, before I moved into Fancy Free, my van, I had a storage unit, and I took 3 days and went through it, and I had piles for family members that it was going to. And so that's kind of a yes pile, but separate. And if I didn't know who I was going to give it to. It just went in what I called a heritage file. And it turns out that a lot of my family didn't want my stuff, and so that heritage pile ended up being in a no pile. And so just know that you might have to have different staging areas to do the yes, no, maybe, but you just can't think about it while you're doing the yes, no, maybe. Once that you have your yes, no, maybe, the no's easy, right? And the yes you can set aside and deal with that later. It's time to go back to the maybe pile. And you keep going through the maybe pile. Everything you pick up in it, you now have to make a decision on whether it's a yes or a no. It can't go in the maybe pile twice. So now you've picked it up out of the maybe pile, and it has to be a yes or a no. And again, you're not doing anything with it yet. It can go to the heritage pile. It can go to the RV pile if you're doing a storage unit. But it can go to the yes pile that it needs to go to, or to the no pile, but you're not thinking about what to do with it yet. It's just making a decision on the yes, no. So then when you've got all of that done, and you've got your yes piles, because your no has gone to wherever it's going to go to, or the heritage piles have gone away, what do you do with your yes piles, and how do you organize? Because that is part of what I told you. I was going to tell you how to downsize, and that's the yes, no, maybe tricks. And then how to declutter. That's making sure that it has to be a yes or a no. You can't keep the maybes. You don't get to keep the maybes. And if you're deciding on whether it's a no or not, how long has it been since you've used it? You've all heard this before, but if you're going into tiny living or into an RV or some other sort of nomad lifestyle, then you want to make sure that it is serving a purpose. Unfortunately, in this lifestyle, we don't always get to carry the luxuries, the frou-frou pretties, and if it can serve a dual purpose, that's even better. And so I hope that helps you on the declutter. And now how to organize. My number one favorite tip on how to organize is to put like with like, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples. Okay, so I am at the staging area of things that, hi little buddy, he wants to come up and say hi, you guys. He has been such a good little boy. Well, I've been working so hard today. He must be tired. He's made every step I've made. But so I am at the staging area for my, sweet boy, for my shed. So this is things that need to go back in the shed, and as you can see, it's not much, because a lot of it was the containers and stuff that had been in there, and things that need to go back to Robert for his van and all. So, but I'm going to give you an example of how I do like with like, because it is the number one tool that, okay buddy, you can get down, wait. Because it is the number one tool that I can share with you that I know will help. And an example, so I have all of this electrical stuff here. And so I have grabbed one of my boxes. These for now are going to go on the floor on the side, one side of the shed. Now granted, it's a shed. I could be putting up the pegboard, I could be doing shelves, and I will do all of that, but Robert and I'll do that together, and he'll get to have a say in it because he's going to be using it too. And for right now, I am just using what I have at my disposal, and I want to show you how you can do that too. So I have labeled this, ignore what's on the side, I've labeled this electrical. And I could just dump all of this stuff in there. And this one, because it's big and bulky and heavy, I am going to do that. And then I normally would take and secure this with, like I have this one, with a zip tie or something, but I don't have it with me right now, and I'm just going to keep going for demonstration purposes. So the other thing is, now I'm down to all of this little stuff. And I could just throw it in a box if I was pressed for time, but I want to kind of try to keep it together if I can. So I'm putting this hodgepodge of all of this stuff that I know Robert knows what to do with, and it's kind of his stuff, and he's bought for improvements on the RV and our vans, but I want to keep it together, and so I'm going to put it in a box and lay it down in here. And then I have some lighting that is string lights, but it is lighting. Electrical and lighting is going to be in this box, and so I'm going to put that there. Now, as I run across anything else, anytime when I'm organizing, it will go in this box, or later when we redo the shed and add to cabinets and shelves and stuff, it'll go in that container. But putting like with like always helps. Now I'm going to give you one more example. As I was pulling stuff out, I ran across these 2 pieces of rope. Now, I could have just thrown them away, but I put them here on the table and I waited to see how many things like that I came up with, because I'm always wanting something like that when I'm doing crafts, and then there's been times when we've wanted to just string something or tie something, and so I didn't want to really get rid of them, and I wanted to see how many I had, otherwise I wouldn't know what size container they would go in. And so this might seem like a ridiculous thing to be saving, but now that I've pulled everything out and I see what all I have, I know that I have room. So I am going to put them in a jar, and I save like all my nut jars and things like that. And I don't have time right now, but in my sticks and bricks, I would even pull this label off and I would put a real label on there of what this was. And I would probably put twine or something like that on here. Likewise, I ran across all these sponges. Now, I am going to take a couple with me in the RV, but I don't have room for all these sponges in the RV. But now that I have a shed, I don't want to get rid of them. And that's another thing. I have bought packages like this before, especially when I was in my van, and I would take a couple of sponges out and I would have to get rid of the other 3, either give them away or throw them away if I wasn't camping with somebody where I could do that, because you only have square inches, even in an RV. You don't have square feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in an old milk bone jug, bucket, jar, whatever you call it, and keep these in the RV so that when I need to replace the sponges, keep them in the shed so that when I need to replace the sponges in the RV, I can go get them. Likewise. So see all of these things behind me that are just miscellaneous? Well, I will be putting them in jars as well, because those are things to do household projects with. Like hang a curtain rod, hang a broom holder, and a grommet kit. We're going to use this to secure a shelf, all of that. And so those will go in a separate jar so that I can easily find them. Now this is a hodgepodge of screws and nails and everything that I've already been collecting. And I normally, like I said, I would pull the label off and I'd have like screws, wood screws, metal screws. I'd have different ones for different types of screws and nails, but I don't have that time right now, and until we know what we're going to do with the shed, I'm not going to take that kind of time. But the main thing that I hope you're getting out of this is let's do a review, because I feel a little scattered, and if I feel scattered, I don't want my viewers to feel scattered. So to downsize, declutter, and organize, number 1, be ready to do yes, no, maybe piles, and have a staging area for each one of the things that your areas that everything is going to be being dispersed to. When you get down to your yes pile, my hands are so dirty. I'm sorry, I've been working all day. When you get down to your yes pile, you do like with like to get it down to where it is organized and able to go back into your home or back into the shed, back into wherever it's going, and not be cluttered and be organized. And I hope that helps. As you saw on what is in the RV, for my yes area, most of that is project work. After I get all of this done, I'm going to work on the outside so that the site is nice and clean when I leave, and come home to a nice site whenever I come back to my home base. I can't wait to travel. But the other thing that I'm going to be doing is making curtains, and I'm going to paint the inside of the RV. And so stay with me. We've got a lot of wonderful projects coming up, and I hope that you learned something from this today that helps you get ready to organize your life and downsize so that you can live your dreams. All right, everybody, we'll see you down the road. Bye. Okay, everybody, I almost forgot. This is my only outdoor storage for traveling. Okay, everybody, I almost forgot. This is my only outdoor storage for traveling, and as you can see, I have it jam-packed. All of it needs to travel with me, plus I need to be able to get my sewer hose in here. So I am going to be pulling this back out and redoing it, and I may have to get rid of some of it and do a yes, no, maybe pile, but I'm also planning on reorganizing it.